G'day, I'm Dan Raff. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Laguna Seca in California for round 8 of the Manufacturer Series 2021. And in pole position, Regular Grape for Mercedes and P2, Cole Mate for Ferrari. In P3, Kenneth Forjun for Toyota. In P4, Nelson for Lexus. In P5, Phoenix Taz for BMW. In P6, Aztok for Toyota. In P7, Sly Cooper for Mercedes. And you find me in P8, so let's take a look at my qualifying lap. My best time in free pack practice was a 1:27. Or thereabouts, and I couldn't replicate that in qualifying, mainly because I kind of got lucky with that time. I was pushing the car really hard and didn't want to risk binning it during qualifying, so I drove a little more conservatively, as I tend to do during qualifying, because I'd rather just put in an okay lap rather than no lap, or a crashed out lap. So about this race, it's 18 laps of Laguna Seca in Group 4, and all tyre compounds are available, only the hards are mandatory. However, just like at Sardinia, it's a trap! And yeah, this race really needs to be done as a no-stop. So although I'm doing the qualifying on the softs, I'll be switching over to the hards for the start of the race, and I won't be pitting at all. So as I cross the line, yeah, 1:29.3, about 2 seconds slower than my best lap in free practice, but it's good enough for P8 on the grid. And behind me in P9 is Hydikyan for Volkswagen. In P10, Petit for Honda. In P11, KBS for Mercedes. In P12, Manabu for Mercedes. In P13, Nindo for Jaguar. In 14, Ocular Raffle for BMW. In P15, JZK for Aston Martin. In P16, Lambo for Mercedes. A lot of Mercs in this race. In P17, however you pronounce that, for Mazda. In P18, Berserk, also for Mazda. And in P19, Eugene for Lamborghini rounds out the grid. So as we get underway here at Laguna Seca, in the strongest lobby I've ever been in, my aim is a top 10, or just to hold on to the position I have. I do have a secondary aim though, which is really to finish in the top 5. This is the third attempt at the race tonight. And I had okay results in the first 2 races, but especially in the second, I had a podium right up until the last corner. But I still increased my DR as a result of those 2 races, and then found myself in this lobby. And honestly, I thought this race would be a disaster. I thought it would be terrible, because I thought I have no business being here. Starting to get a little bit scrappy up in the battle for P6 with Aztok and Sly as we come up the hill and around the left hand flick, and Nelson goes a little bit wide there, and I have to sort of ease off to avoid crashing into everybody. And then down through the corkscrew, it just goes wrong for, well, not for me, but certainly for Sly, and a couple of other drivers as well go off. and that catapults me up into P6, and Nelson ahead has a 2-second penalty as a result of what appeared to be a collision with Sly, although I'm not entirely sure that was really Nelson's doing. Sly seemed to get a bit loose and ended up on the sand, and his back end went out, if that's what Nelson got the 2-second penalty for, but otherwise it was something I didn't see. As we come around, I think this is technically T2, this double apex, and there's only really, I quite like this track. In fact, it's the my favourite of the American tracks. The only thing I don't like about it is the sausage curbs. They can send you flying, absolutely send you flying. As Phoenix Taz goes wide onto the sand, and that allows me to go up to P5, but because of where the penalty serving zone is, coming into a braking zone, even a 2-second penalty from Nelson wasn't enough to allow me to catch him. And I've got Hydesian right behind me as we come through the corkscrew on lap 2. And he takes a tighter line coming out of the corkscrew in the Scirocco and gets past. And so I fall into his slipstream as we come around the hairpin onto the main straight, and Kenneth goes a bit wide, almost into the gravel, as we cross the line to begin lap 3. So yeah, a lot of drivers in this race, and I don't understand their logic, decided to start on softs or mediums and force themselves to pit. And you know, really, this isn't the if you can get away with a no stop at Laguna Seca, you want to do a no stop. As Petit gets past on the turn up to the hill, drops me back into P7. But yeah, the pit loss at Laguna Seca is notorious. Not only do you have to deal with the pit loss itself, but coming out of the pits, you don't just come onto the main straight as you exit the pits. As Kenneth pushes Hyde Cyan wide and picks up a 1-second penalty. But yeah, as you can see, the pit lane doesn't just come out onto the main straight, it wraps around the first turn and drops you off there, so it's a long road out. So yeah, you really want to avoid pitting here as much as possible. As we flash forward to lap 5, and as we come up to the hairpin at the end, we're going to switch into cockpit view for lap 6, as it was my fastest lap of the race. But yeah, I think a lot of these Group 4 races are a bit of a lost opportunity. I was watching Key's live stream, and you know, he said if the race was a little bit longer and you know, you had to use all 3 tyre compounds, it would have made made for a much more compelling race, and I have to agree with that. I don't know why all of the Group 4 races this year, in fact as long as I can remember, they've all been sprints, and I think it would have made a better race if strategy had come into play, especially at a track like Laguna Seca, given the pit time. But as it stands, pitting during this race is well, it's race over, really. You know, unless you're so far out ahead of the rest of the pack, that you know, the 30 plus seconds that a pit stop will cost you, even just to change tyres, you know, means that you're still in front, but that's simply not the case. But I do like this track quite a bit. It's got quite a lot of character. And yeah, it's definitely my favourite of the American tracks. Not that there's much to choose from. I mean, it's only Willow Springs really, so it's not a very high bar. As Petit falls into the strategy track, comes off his softs and has to put on a set of hards, and that's, you know, he has to wave goodbye to a top 10 finish now, because he will not make that time back. Half the race is gone. There simply is not enough time for him to make that back, especially with you know, many drivers not doing, you know, not pitting, and Hyde Cyan also goes in behind me, and that opens up a huge gap back to Phoenix Taz in P6 now. And Sly Cooper also in the pits. So yeah, they're falling like dominoes. And already up into P5, mainly as a result of you know, of people pitting, and you know, a top 5 finish is now all but assured, because with only 5.5 laps left of the race, you know, Phoenix Taz has almost a 13-second gap to close, and up ahead Nelson has gone off at the approach to the corkscrew, and that's an easy P4 for me, and I will gladly take it. Now he does recover, so at this stage of the race he's got less than a second behind me. He could make that up. There's plenty of time for him to do so, but as we'll see, he doesn't give himself the chance, because as I come around the hairpin onto the main straight, Nelson goes into the pits to get off a set of very worn softs. So there's a car coming out of the pits now ahead of us, but it is a back marker. That's Berserk all the way back in P19, so it will not be an issue for us. Flashing forward now to halfway through lap 16, and Cole Mate is about to wave the win goodbye because he has pitted, and he does not have a significant enough gap back to regular grape in P2, you know, to make the pit stop work. He's already falling down the order, and again with 1.5 laps to go, he's not going to make that back, and we briefly, as we pass the pit entrance and onto the main straight, go up into P3, but that is him up ahead coming out of the pits. He's on the pit exit, and will I get around the double apex in time to overtake him? No, I won't. So he does hold on to a podium position, but it could have been a win. If he'd started on the hards and done a no-stop, that could have been a win for him. So we'll flash forward now to the beginning of the final lap, and I am stunned by the race today. I wasn't expecting very much at all. In terms of where I had to finish to improve my my points for the night, I only needed to, I think, finish in 8th, which is where I started on the grid. Previous to this, the previous 2 attempts at the race, my best result was in the previous race, which was a P5, almost a P3, which I'll speak no more of. But to end up in P4 with a 20-second gap back to Phoenix Taz in P5, you know, in a race, in a lobby that, you know, was the strongest lobby I've ever raced in on Gran Turismo. Now, it's only a B-rated lobby, but still, you know, I've come up from the doldrums and the absolute basement of this game over the last couple of months, and this result I've got to say, is a massive shot of confidence. So, checkered flag ahead of us and cross the line in P4, and I will take that any day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like and comment below to let me know how you did in the race, or just to say hi. Next on the calendar, it's round 9 of season 1 of the 2021 Nations Cup. We are in Group 2 and we are at... Wait, let me just check my notes here. We're back at Fuji. So, if you enjoy hearing a grown man cry, make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of the action. I'm Dan Raff, and I'll see you at the next race.